So in just a few hours, Harvard and the White House facing off in court as the Ivy League school fights to claw back more than $2 billion in federal funds frozen by President Trump as it's accused them of not protecting Jewish students on campus. Got the video. Our next guest says Harvard has a weak argument here. Fox News legal analyst Gregg Jarrett joins us now. Greg, they're going to say that they're doing everything possible and the president has no right to do this.
Yeah, the problem for Harvard, Brian, is they managed to incriminate themselves. Their own commission study found rampant anti-Semitism on campus, and frankly, the university did little or nothing to protect the targeted Jewish students and others. And instead, Harvard coddled the offenders and the protesters while creating this hostile environment of intolerance and intimidation and harassment, even encouraging it. And there's also, Brian, evidence that race discrimination in admissions and hiring continues at Harvard, even though the Supreme Court told them to stop it. So all of that violates the Civil Rights Act, and the penalty, of course, is a loss of billions in federal funds. Yet Harvard seems to think they're entitled to government grants. Yeah, I'd suggest that the elite geniuses at Harvard open up Webster's and look up the word grant. It's a gift. It can be given or taken away or made conditional. In other words, abide by the law, stop harming students, get back to your core mission of educating young people. Harvard doesn't want to do that. So their defense here is, we can do anything we want under the First Amendment. Well, you can't. Free speech is not a protection for breaking the law. So we'll see what happens at today's hearing. It's an Obama-appointed judge who seems to rule consistently against Trump. If the case isn't settled, it'll go to the Supreme Court.
Right away, so they'll get a hearing. So just to give everyone an idea with Trump's actions against Harvard, because it's been over a matter of months, they revoked authorization to enroll international students. They suspended $2.2 billion worth of grants, $60 million in contracts, launched at least 8 investigations, asked the IRS to revoke the exempt status, and threatened to remove accreditation. So this is, the gloves are off. Both sides are going to have one day. They're going to make their case. I think Robert Hur is representing Harvard. Remember the Hur report. And then this judge is going to take how long to make a ruling?
Well, we don't know. I doubt very much the judge will rule from the bench. Typically, it's taken under submission, and then an opinion is written. That would likely be appealed to the Court of Appeals and then to the Supreme Court. So it's a long process. In the meantime, there are negotiations between the Trump administration and Harvard. That may, in the end, be the way to go.
So let's talk about what happened, what Tulsi Gabbard revealed late last week and then over the weekend on Fox and Friends and with Maria. And that is that they have found that there is a treasonous conspiracy between President Obama, the intelligence community, and many higher-ups in around 2016 to go ahead and trump up, pun intended, some type of Russian conspiracy with the Trump campaign that allowed them to win the election. Here's DNI Tulsi Gabbard.
Yeah.
President Obama and his team, he directed a manufactured piece of intelligence that detailed not if, but how Russia tried to influence the outcome of the United States election. Foundational to it all was the fact that we had in President Obama and his leadership team people who did not want to accept the will of the American people in electing Donald Trump in 2016.
So what did we learn? What did you learn? You wrote a book on this. What did you learn from this?
Actually, 2 books on this. And it all begins with Hillary Clinton. Summer of 2016, the CIA director John Brennan discovers that Hillary has approved this plan to falsely smear Trump for colluding with Russia and helped finance the bogus dossier. We now have Brennan's handwritten notes recounting 2 meetings at the White House that included Obama, Biden, Clapper, Comey. And they knew it was all phony, but instead of telling the truth to the American people, they kept silent. They secretly joined the scheme to vilify Trump. They altered intel documents to propel the scandal, even though U.S. intelligence determined there was no Russian interference and helping Donald Trump win. So, this was the beginning, Brian, of a decade-long lawfare campaign, which could actually constitute a vast conspiracy case. And I think that's one of the things the FBI is now looking at. Brennan and Comey are already under investigation, but I suspect it may morph into something much larger.
Jim Himes did comment on this. The Democratic congressman from Connecticut called it a big lie and said that John Durham and Robert Mueller didn't find any of this. And Tulsi Gabbard's doing this for mouth-breathing MAGA supporters. So I'm going to play that soundbite a little bit later, but this will be a bit of the pushback. Let's see who wins the fact fight. Appreciate it, Greg.
Okay, Brian.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.